Man of Shred here with Dream Views Podcast. Today's topic is quite a controversial one. The subject of shared dreaming. Can people really meet in the dream world or break into someone else's dreams? We'll find out whether or not in the next half hour to an hour, because I am interviewing Waking Nomad, who has been fairly interested in shared dreams all his life, well, a lot of his life, and he has an uncanny ability to pull people into the shared dreaming reality, and so we're gonna find out all about that. So, hello, Waking Nomad. How are you?
Oh, fucking great, man. Oh, can I cuss or what's going on? Is that cool?
Yeah, just don't turn it into too much of a freak show. So, since this is a lucid dreaming podcast thing, I'm gonna ask you a bit about that as well. But first of all, I just kind of like for you to tell me how you got into dreaming and lucid dreaming all together, and yeah, just start there, I guess.
Well, when I was a young child, um, this is significant. So I'm 34 years old. I was born in 1975.
Mhm.
This has a lot. This has a lot. My age has a lot to do with my whole lucid dreaming life. That's why I throw that in there. But anyway, um, I have always had good dream recall because even when I was really young, I can remember being 3 years old and waking up in the morning, and my parents and I'm the first child, my parents and I would all talk about our dreams. But I didn't know the difference between reality and quote-unquote reality in the dream world till I was around 7 or 8 years old.
Hmm.
So I had started having a lot of nightmares, and I would use lucidity to just wake up because I didn't know anything about dream control,
Mhm.
and I was raised. My parents became born again Christians when I was 2 years old. So I was raised with the whole Pentecostal, charismatic, Protestant, Christian archetypes, and when I would experience sleep paralysis, I would think it was demonic. So,
Yeah,
I, anyway, I'm going off on a tangent.
yeah. Oh yeah, well, um, yeah, I can actually relate to a lot of that. I was very interested in dreams when I was fairly little as well. Um,
Mm.
and yeah, like I remember even in kindergarten, or no, it was grade 2. I even had a little dream journal. I would write them down sometimes if I thought they were funny.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, you left off around when you were a kid, and you were just sort of getting into dreaming, right? If I
Um,
remember correctly. Yeah.
well, I was always fascinated by dreams, and I always would tell people
Mhm.
my dreams, but I started, I think I started to force myself to forget my dreams because I had so many nightmares. And
Mhm.
let me tell you this recurring type of nightmare um, I experienced, which um, drove me to learn more about lucidity and eventually experiment with astral projection.
Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah, so I would have a nightmare. Some monster, some demon, whatever was chasing me.
Mhm.
Uh, and then I would have a false awakening. In my false awakening, I was experiencing sleep paralysis,
Mhm.
which I had experience before, of course, in waking life, and which absolutely terrified me.
Yeah.
So, have a nightmare, false awakening. In my false awakening, I'm still asleep. I'm still dreaming. I don't realize it. I'm not lucid anymore, right?
Right.
I lost my lucidity because of my false awakening, and because all I used lucidity for was just to wake up from nightmares.
Right. Okay.
And then I feel a dark presence in the room,
Oh.
just like you do during sleep paralysis. Feel a dark presence in the room, and of course, I assume it's a demon.
Mhm.
Uh, a demon that wanted to make me fall asleep so he could go into my mind and make me have another nightmare. And often the demon would be sitting on my chest. Um,
Huh.
and then I would feel an overwhelming, I would try and cry out, and it would just go, "Ah."
Mhm.
I would try and move, and I couldn't, because I was dreaming that I was in sleep paralysis, and I would just have like an overwhelming urge to fall asleep, as if I was hit with some type of knockout drug, or injected with a heavy-duty tranquilizer.
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah, so I would go from that false awakening and fall asleep in the dream, and I'd be right back in my nightmare.
Right.
I had this over and over again, and I actually thought I had demons, and went through exorcisms and stuff in church.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's definitely nuts. I used to have similar experiences as a child. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, sometimes I would wake up and yeah, see clowns in my rooms
Nah.
or a bunch of bugs on my bed. And actually, a couple times, my brother woke up along with me. I don't know if this was a dream or not, or if we had really woken up, but both me and him to this day remember waking up and seeing all these bugs in our room, and they were luminescent and glowing. It, it's I don't even know what really happened there.
Those
Um,
are astral parasites, man. That's
y-
exactly how they look.
yeah, that's very interesting, and they made the strangest sounds too. Um,
Yeah, like cicadas, right?
yeah, and uh, it, it kind of makes me wonder, how can children see and experience those sort of things, and then later on in my age, I have to struggle really hard to get any sort of trippy, experience with astral or chair dreaming or anything of that nature. You know.
It's because we learn to forget. We're taught to forget. I can remember as a child asking my mother about where I was before I was born,
Yeah.
and she said, You were nowhere," and I said, "Well, that doesn't make sense." And I was about, I remember I was about 4 or 5 years old,
Mhm.
asking her this. I said, "Well, I don't." Well, I didn't say that doesn't make sense. I said, I don't understand. Where was I before I was born?" It was really persistent, how children are. And she said, "Well, you were nowhere. You didn't exist." And I said, "Well, I exist. What does exist mean?" And she said, "You weren't alive." And I said, "You mean I was dead?" And then she said, "No, you just weren't here yet."
Yeah.
Then I said, "Well, was I in heaven before?" And she said, "No, you were nowhere." And then that thought of just like not existing terrified me. But here was my mother telling me this, so I felt like I had to believe her. Since then, I've come to the conclusion, or more like realization, that reincarnation is real. And that's why I thought that, because it's ingrained into you.
Right. 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 Exactly. And it's like, yeah, the world of our language, it kind of forces us to perceive this sort of reality that is so limited if you give yourself to it completely. You know,